Greeting to all the students. Welcome to Global Online. And as you all are aware that we are doing a crash course series for your June 2023 examination. And for this session, we are going to do a crash course, which will be consisting of complete rapid revision for the unit that is Research Aptitude. Yesterday, we have done the unit Teaching Aptitude. And yes, in this particular crash course, we'll be including all the topics which are covered in the latest cycle in the form of MCQs. So this particular research aptitude will be completed in the form of crash course in 1 hour's time. That is by me. So before we go for a crash course, let's have a look that apart from this, what does Global Online has brought up for you all for your June 2023 examination. So Global Online has brought up a quick revision PDF for paper 1. Now this quick revision PDF will be consisting of 2000 plus MCQs, including updated MCQs, current affairs, short notes, previous year question papers with the answer key as well as the most repeated questions. This all is available at a fee cost of rupees 699. You can get in touch with us on these given WhatsApp number in order to avail the copy of your PDF. Apart from this, we also have, a Global Online app. You can go on a Google Play Store, download the app. This is how the interface looks like. We have a revision crash course for your paper 1. Now, this revision crash course obviously will consist of live lectures which are scheduled in Hindi and English, recorded lectures on all the units, 60 plus mock test, as well as syllabus notes, which will be in the PDF format, 2000 plus MCQs. And these all is arranged in a very systematic manner so that you can go on a website, go on a specific unit and find out all the material, not only in English, but also in Hindi. So this is all we have for your upcoming examination, that is June 2023. Now let's start the session for the day. The first very important topic which you have in research aptitude is basically on the topic positivism and post-positivism. So yes, you have questions on positivism and post-positivism approach. So let's understand what do you mean by this positivism approach? It believes in reality, which can be measured and known as quantitative. We are talking about what? We are talking about positivistic approach, which is talking about which believes in reality, which can be measured, and it is known as quantitative approach, whereas positivism believes in creation of a new knowledge. Yes, and this can be out of the theories, hypotheses, and values of the researcher, whereas in positivism, it is, believes a true and object reality, which can be applied through the various methods and principles. When we concern about positivism, it denies intuition. It means that it only and only takes into consideration the objectivity. Whereas when we talk about post-positivism, it is concerned with what? It is concerned with subjectivity. Next we have is positivism approach. It is scientific study. It is in nature of scientific study. Post-positivism is based on what? It is based on true experience. So this is all we have about positivism and post-positivism approach, that exactly what does it believes, how it is, what is taken into consideration for both the approaches. Now we have the next is your objectives. That is your research objectives are divided into 3 parts, that is theoretical objective, factual objectives, and applied objectives. So when we talk about theoretical objectives, it is formulating the new theories. It is, it is basically by theories, basic knowledge by exploring the association between different variables, which is used in fundamental research. That is, basic research, you can say. Whereas factual objectives, they're finding new facts, which is used in history and explained in exploratory research, which is used in exploratory research. Applied objectives, it is use of already existing theories to new situations used in applied research. So this is how we have, the objectives of research divided into theoretical, factual, and applied. After that, we have a topic, a very next important topic for your examination based on research aptitude is basically your qualitative approach and quantitative approach. Now, When we talk about qualitative approach, let's see what does qualitative approach in detail. It's does it consider. So when we talk about qualitative approach is the one which involves quality. It is used for qualitative analysis, that is for understanding of problems which cannot be quantified. Now see over here, we are talking about what? We are talking about qualitative, that is quality, and which cannot be quantified. You cannot quantify this. It is open-ended. Okay, it is, these questions which are involved in qualitative approach are basically open-ended, that is inductive in nature, which starts from a something very specific, which comes to something very general. So open-ended questions, that is inductive approach, something which comes from very specific to general. Whereas when we talk about quantitative approach, which is the one which involves the quantity, it is used to quantify a problem, okay, or a behavior or an opinion. It is in the form of close-ended question, that is in the form of deductive approach that comes from general to specific. Now let's see the one example and let's understand this concept. So when we talk about qualitative approach, like for example, qualitative approach, when we study studies conducted to know about people suffering from mental disorders. So this will understand, or this will help to understand how these affect the person's life. Okay, how this helps, how this talks about the hardship people face while availing this particular facility. So this, it talks about your actual experience in order to face this particular issue, or in order to face this particular mental disorder. But the same thing, if you consider under quantitative, it will talk about, the expenditure, it will talk about the medical facilities, it will talk about the number of, doctors available, the hospitals available, nurses available. So it is something which can be quantified. It is something which is quantitative in nature. Now, next we have a qualitative approach, which is semi-structure or unstructured, whereas quantitative approach is something which is properly, or you can say which is basically which is in a structured form. So it does not indicate semi-structure. It does not indicate something which is properly structurized or something which is properly maintained in a structure format. Okay. Now, coming to next is your. Okay. Now here there is, you have an approaches, like for example, the approach can be in the form of deductive. The approach can be in the form of inductive, deductive. Uh, the approach can be in the form of abductive approach. So let's see. We have inductive approach, we have deductive approach, we have abduction approach. Let's understand these approaches in detail very well. So when we talk about induction approach, okay, so induction approach is basically a researcher uses the premises which is developed from observation to draw untested conclusion, where the conclusions are not untested. Whereas when we talk about deduction approach, it is something which is based, okay, on the theory that are true and the conclusions are also true. It means something which is in the form of what? In the form of tested. Whereas inductive, which is in the form of what? Which is in the form of untested approaches. Abductive approach, it is generally of a premises which can be, used to generate a testable conclusions in the form of either you can tell combination of inductive and deductive approach. So basically, whenever we have a combination which is used in for somewhere where there is untested conclusions, for somewhere there is a conclusions are tested, but the combination is togetherly noted as what? It is called as abductive approach. Now, coming to a generalization process in inductive, it is from specific to general. You start from something very particular and you end up to something general. Deductive, that is going from general to specific. Abductive approach, it is interaction between the specific and the general. It is considering both. It does not indicate, starting from where and ending from where. Coming to inductive approach, the findings, here the findings cannot be generalized, okay? Whereas in deductive approaches, the findings can be generalized, okay, based on, the applied theory or based on the application. Whereas in the abductive approach, the findings can be generalized to the context or to the context of the theory which is applied. So basically an application of the theory. Now the use of data in inductive approach, the researcher collects data in order to identify the pattern, the themes, which comes up with a conceptual framework. Okay, the way it is coming as a part of conceptual framework. Whereas in deductive approach, the data is collected to test hypothesis related to existing theory, which talks about what? Which takes into consideration existing theories. Abductive approach is basically talking about what? It is talking about the data which is collected not only in the form of patterns, themes, but also from the conceptual framework. As I said, it is a combination of your inductive as well as deductive approach. Theory in inductive approach, the theory is built. The theory cannot be verified by the inductive research approach, whereas deductive approach, the theory is verified or falsified. And abductive approach is something the theory is modified or generalized depending upon what, in order to come up with a new theory or to modify the existing theory. So whether it can be with a concept of a complete new theory or it can be modifying the existing theory. Now coming to when to apply. So when we talk about induction, so when the research questions, okay, when your researcher question is to answer why something happens, okay, why, or the lack of theory to explain the phenomena, the process. Here we will take into consideration the inductive approach. Whereas in the form of when and what is happening, we take into consideration deductive approach. And when your research question is to describe, like for example, to test something or to come up with an incomplete conclusion, you take into consideration what? You take into consideration the abductive approach. Now, coming next is in detail, we have fundamental approach and applied research. Research and applied research. Fundamental, which is something used for generalization or making additions in the existing knowledge, or which is already existing in order to formulate the theories that has a greater scope of application. Whereas applied research is used for a specific issue or for a business issue, and this is basically to generalize the particular, or to it is basically to analyze a particular problem or to analyze a particular issue. Okay, so applied research basically, which is used in application. Fundamental is a basic research. That's what you need to keep in mind. Structured and unstructured research, we use this in positivism and post-positivism. So structure, which is well in advance designed, okay, it is used in quantitative research to know the extent of the problem. Unstructured research is something which is very flexible. And yes, it is useful in qualitative research. So you should remember, along with qualitative and quantitative, in post-positivism and positivism approach also, we use this structured and unstructured research. Coming next to the conceptual research, where it is based on the concept of the theories on observation. Whereas when we talk about conceptual research, it is used to develop new theories or to redefine the existing one. Coming to empirical research involves performing experiments to test, to the new theories, that is to provide the base for the new theories in the form of experiments, in the form of practical approach. Now, coming to descriptive and analytical approach. So descriptive approach is something which takes into consideration what is occurring, to describe a problem or a situation, either to describe, to clarify, to compare. By, like, for example, you can take an example is that analyzing the trend of prices of pulses. So that can be a form of what? A descriptive research. Analytical research is something why it has occurred, or, the reason between the cost and effect relationship. For example, analyzing the reasons behind the change in the prices of pulses. So why, you are analyzing, you're studying in detail, you are reviewing it in detail. It means you're doing nothing but you are analyzing the research. Next you have is, yes, going to the next one is basically, yeah, we have done the objectives, theoretical, factual, and applied objectives, which are used in research. Now coming next to is what? Now see, just for your easy understanding, I have just listed, I have just made it in the question in a tabular format, which will be easier for you to remember. So I'm talking about based on the objectives, which research comes, based on the outcome, based on the information, or based on the contact number. So based on objectives, we have descriptive, correlation, explanatory, and exploratory research. Based on application, that is fundamental and applied. Based on data or information, that is qualitative and quantitative. Based on number of contacts, that is cross-sectional and longitudinal. Now let's see domains of research. We have disciplinary, we have multidisciplinary, we have interdisciplinary, and transdisciplinary. So disciplinary, which belongs to one specific domain, okay, one specific discipline. When I say multi, it is belonging to what? Multiple, okay. It takes into consideration the multiple domains, okay. When I say inter, it means it is interconnected, it is interdependent. And transdisciplinary, which comes under one particular place in the form of various disciplines, okay. Yes, moving to the next one. Now see, now this table is for your easy understanding that if we talk about inductive, qualitative, subjective, or particular to general research, what comes under them? So fundamental research, action research, exploratory research, analytical, historical, ethnographic, phenological, narrative, case study, or explanatory or evaluation research comes under this, okay. That is in the form of what? Inductive, qualitative, subjective, and particular to general. Whereas deductive, quantitative, objective, and general to particular, which research comes applied, descriptive, casual, experimental, and ex post facto. So these are the research which comes under what? Deductive, quantitative, objective, general to particular. Now, yes, methods, generalization, and manipulation, whether it is done or not. Okay, so this will help you in your statement questions. So fundamental, I have given you a tabular format. Just generalization. Now, what you may have a question, what is generalization? It is nothing but act of a reasoning that involves, drawing inferences from a particular observation with respect to the quality standard in the research. So we have certain methods over here. Generalization is given over here, and manipulation, whether it is done or not. This is just for your quick revision, just for your quick glance that, okay, these are the methods. Here the generalization takes place, yes or no, and yes, manipulation, whether it happens or not. Okay. Now, coming to the next is cross-sectional and longitudinal research. Yes, here also a lot of students gets confused under cross-sectional and longitudinal research. So let's see, under cross-sectional, we have 1 point, that is, it is at 1 point. Longitudinal, which takes into consideration several points. Cross-sectional, different samples take into consideration. Longitudinal, same sample we used. In cross-sectional, the snapshot of a given point in time is taken at a societal level, change in the societal level. Whereas in longitudinal, this is change of an individual level. So like, for example, in cross-sectional, British social attitude survey is done. Whereas British birth cohort studies, that, understanding the society, it goes from what? It goes from, a huge time. So which gets involved into the time, which gets involved into, you can say, a longer period of duration, comes under longitudinal, long. So it's considering as what? It is considering as longitudinal. Cross-sectional, that is from different sections, that comes under cross-sectional. Now, quasi-experiments, it is nothing but a type of research design where a comparison is made, but no random assignment of participation or to group occur. Okay, but it means, the variables allow comparison of groups of participants without manipulation. There is no random assignment. It does not take into consideration anything which is random. Now, next topic we have is variables, that is independent variable and dependent variable. Apart from that, we are going to do extraneous, indigenous variable, confounding variable. So let's first look at your independent and dependent variable. So when we talk about independent variable, they are called as the treatment variable, or the one which is manipulated by the researcher. They are the cause of the change. Okay. The one which can result into manipulation, like for example, liquid used to water the plant. So depending upon this, there will be an impact seen, there will be an effect seen. So dependent variable, that is outcome or response variable measured by the researcher in an experiment. They changes as a result of change made in the independent variable, where you can see the effect where it is can be measured. And now example, liquid to water the plant, which is used to water the plant, comes under what? Independent. Now depending upon the more amount of liquid, less amount of liquid, based on that you can understand or you can define the growth of a plant. Okay. Now intervening variable, the variable which it's called as mediator variable, which is used to explain the cause or the connection between the both dependent and independent. They are the associations instead of observations. Like for example, poverty resulting into lack of access to healthcare or shorter longevity. It is it is nothing but, so lack of access to healthcare is intervening variable, which indicates what? Which indicates your intervening relationship, called as what? It is called as mediator. Then we have confounding variable that confuses the relationship. So confounding variables can invalidate the experiments, resulting into a biased or suggesting a relationship between the variable, which variable exists when it does not. Okay, so the relationship where it will talk about the existence of certain relationship which does not. Okay, when it does not exist. So like for example, uh, exposure to alcohol consumption resulting into the lung cancer, smoking can be considered as what? It can be considered as the confounding variable. Okay. Now, extraneous variable which influences the relationship. So these variable, that is, they affect the dependent variable, but as the researcher did not originally consider when designing the experiment, these unwanted variables can unintentionally change the study results or how a researcher interprets those results. So like for example, study assessing a private tutoring or a online courses are more effective to improve the student's test scores. So extraneous variables, that might unintentionally influence the outcome, which include parental support or prior knowledge of a foreign language or socio-economic status. So this is how it results into what? It results into the extraneous variable. Okay. Now, let's consider the next point. The next point is basically on your hypothesis. So we have null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis. So the null hypothesis is something which is considered, as your negative statement, whereas your alternate hypothesis is considered with a positive statement where there is a positive relationship existing. So sometimes you get even the question like, if one hypothesis is accepted, the another gets rejected, or they will give you an question format in a scenario. So if one is accepted, the another gets rejected. That's what you have to answer. Now, the next topic is based on, population and samples, that is sampling. So anything which is drawn out of a population is called as what? Is called as a sample. So sampling is divided into two types, probability and non-probability. So under probability, what we have is simple random sampling, stratified sample, systematic sample, or cluster sample. So when we talk about simple random sampling, so this is basically simple random. No? So every member of the population has an equal chance of getting selected. That is called as what? It is called as simple random. Stratified sampling, strata, it means your population is divided into a subgroup, that is called as the strata. And based on this strata, that is the age, the gender, it can be in any form. The strata can be in any form. The samples are collected. Then we have as next is systematic sampling. So systematic sampling is basically, it talks about what? It talks about a system. Okay, a system which is created. A system can be in the form of any way. That can be created with odd numbers, even numbers. So whatever system is created, based on that, when the sample is selected, that is called as systematic sampling. Cluster sample, that is based on the cluster. Okay, cluster where a group or a subgroup you can take. is randomly selected. Okay, it is called as what? It is called as your cluster sampling. So simple random sample, stratified sampling, systematic sampling, or cluster sampling. I hope everyone is clear. Simple, that is in a simple way, a random sample is created. Stratified, that is based on the strata. Systematic sampling, where, based on various systems, the samples are selected. Cluster sampling, which is based on, various subgroups. Okay. Now, coming next is we have non-probability sampling. So non-probability sampling, where in a non-probability, there are no equal chances of sample being selected. So we have convenience sample, where it is, based on the convenience, the samples are selected. We have purposive sample. So based on a purpose or judgment, it is also known as judgmental sampling. The sample is selected. Okay. Voluntary response sample. Voluntary response, it talks about, people volunteer themselves by responding to the survey. So you do not, here they voluntarily participate in the survey. And snowball sampling, it is basically indicating what? It is indicating as your samples are, selected based on the networks, or they are selected based on the networking, you can say, or based on the chain. Okay, that is called as snowball sampling. Yes, quota sampling, which is also called as dimensional sampling, which is also known as, where there are certain criterias or quotas. Like, for example, we are looking for a males and females from the population, males who are above 50, females above 50. But here we are very specified. Okay, here this population is consisting of males, females, but in quota, we are specifying that males under 50 years old. So that is a specific condition or a clause which is set in order to come up with your sample. The next one we have is measurement scale, that is measurement of scales. So here we have 4 scales: nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. So nominal scale is the one which is, at a lowest rank, which is based on the names, which is based on the categories, labels. They are classified on the based on the categories, labels, which cannot be quantified. Okay, they do not have a numeric value. They cannot be added, subtracted, or divided. Ordinal, it is basically which provides names and orders. Okay, it provides rank. Okay, it provides a ranking in the form of, first, second, third, or it can provide an order. Okay, that is the name in the form of hottest to coldest, lightest to heaviest. Then we have interval. So interval sampling basically involves what? The intervals between that is the adjacent distance between the two samples, or between the two variables, in the form of name, the order, yes, and the form of interval. And then we have the ratio sampling. So ratio is basically the highest scale, where absolute, zero has a meaning. It means that the zero does not, if something is given the number as zero, or identified as zero, it means it does not exist. So nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio scales. Yes, you have questions on this either in the match the following questions or the statement questions. So you should be concerned with this topic very well. Next, we have a difference between workshop, seminar, symposium, and conference. So workshop is something which is based on some theoretical and practical aspect, where you have some expertise. It can be offline, in online, that is in the area of schools, colleges. So it is hands-on experience. Workshop indicates what? Workshop indicates has hands-on experience. Seminar, which talks about, academic, that is, it is instruction is academic, that is provided by the institution, which is acquire on the an understanding of this, informal in nature. It can be conducted online as well as offline. It is based, most probably conducted in colleges and universities. Symposium, now symposium is subject, it is discussed by the group of experts in the area, in the specific area or a certain area. More information is required. It can be conducted in formal and informal way. Especially, it is an intellectual event. It comes in the form of what? It comes in the form of intellectual events. Conference, yes, It is, more potential brainstorm by the group of individuals who have similar interest. They have the ability to discover, the problems, solution to the problems by generating new ideas which are formal in nature. They usually operate offline rather than, on internet. So they are conducted in the form of office premises or the chambers, or, big institutions or bodies, so that in that format, the conferences are conducted. So yes, you do get conferences. You have question on this, but a recent cycle, there is no question seen, but still you have to be aware of this topic. Okay. The same thing I have given you in the form of, practical understanding. These are the extra slides will help you to understand how it is conducted, how the information is carried out, how, like, for example, whether it is, whether the training is given or not, what is the procedure, what is the purpose. So here an extra table is given for your understanding of the concept, seminar, conference, symposium, workshop, and including forum. Okay. Now we have style of referencing. So please remember, now in the year 2019-2020, these questions were very common. They had given you 4 options. You have to understand whether it is APA style, Harvard style, MLA style, or Chicago style. Sorry. So here you have to be very careful that you should understand. See, I have given you the entire clarity, but it is very, very important that you should know when you're writing this, when you're answering such type of questions, you should be thorough with this styles. Now, for the styles, no doubt, I'll be teaching you the styles. I'll be telling you how they are, getting, I mean, say how they are being, you're supposed to identify them, but it is very important that you have to ensure it till the examination, you, or in the previous day of examination, before the examination, or on the previous day, you are revising it very well, because if there is no revision for this, you tend to be confused in the paper. So APA style, first of all, what is this? APA style stands for American Psychological Association, where it is followed by what? Now see here, so these are the criterias. Based on these criterias, the examples are given. The author name, which is followed by the initials, the year of publication, yes. Title, which has to be with the full stop, and that is name of the journal in italic, followed by the comma, and the page number or the volume number, which is used. That is used in APA style. It is called as American Psychological Association style. Okay. It is talking about what? It is talking about the referencing style, which comes under APA. Okay. Now, we have next is Harvard style. So under Harvard style, yes, the author's name is followed by what? If you can see the style over here. So the author's name is followed by the initials with the year of publication, the article with the single quotation followed by full stop. Yes, name of the journal, which is an italic, the name which is followed by the comma, issue number or page number, if any, it is followed by that. Okay. So yes, the Harvard style, where, the author's name is followed by the initials, the year of publication, the article, which is followed by the single quotation or the name of the journal in italic form. Then we have is next is after Harvard style. If you see, I've given the example also. The MLA style. So first of all, what this MLA style stands for? This MLA style stands for Modern Language Association. So yes, under Modern Language Association, we have author's name. We have the title of the article, name of the journal, which is normal, okay, and with the volume and publication, that is year of publication, page numbers, and medium of publication. So yes, this is how we have, your MLA style. So MLA style, this is how it is. You can see in the example. I have given the example also to make it clear, because why I have given the examples, you get the list of examples, and from that you have to identify the style. They do not give you this specification, only you have to identify the style. Then we have Chicago style. So where we have name of the author, article, title, that is, which is in double quotation mark, title of the journal in italic, or the volume or the year of publication. So, and the page number is given. So these are the things which are followed in Chicago style. The example is given below. Now, yes, now see, this is what I have taken a very quick understanding of all the topics of research. You, after watching this video or before you go for your, like for example, various examples which we have done, like the research, okay, whether it is exploratory research, whether it is grounded research, whether it is cross-sectional, whether it is longitudinal research. For all this nowadays, if you see, examples are given in the question paper itself, and based on those examples you have to identify whether they belong to, which type of research. So that is one area which they have given. Another area, if you want, I'll just put some questions for you to, understand, okay, this is how we need to prepare ourselves well for the examination. Now, if I talk about next type of question, like for example, in 2022, there was one question regarding case study. So for a case study, what are the features of case study? Okay, how the case study, is it descriptive, is it mechanical, it is pluralistic, either it is inductive in nature. So you have to make sure that you know about these methods very well. There again, there was question with respect to data collection. Now the question was remote data collection. How can you collect the data remotely? So in that, if you do not know the data collection, if you do not read the question very carefully, that yes, data collection is with the help of what remote method, it means it is remotely done. So you should be very clear all these topics. Definitely MCQs will help you out, but before the MCQs you should be able to clear this particular, I mean to say, points wherein the topic is asking you very specifically with respect to what? With respect to your points of preparation. Fine. So this is very, very important. You have to ensure that you are keeping a proper watch on it. You are revising it very well. You are ensuring that it is, yes, it will help you to give a clear idea about the topics. If not, note it down. Some important topics, you can write it also very well, and make sure that before going for examination, you are revising these topics properly. Okay. So yes, that's all for research aptitude. Apart from a paper 1, if any student is looking for paper 2, we do provide study material for the following subjects of paper 2. You can see the subjects which is listed on the screen. And yes, we have MCQs for this as well as notes for this. You can get in contact with us on the given WhatsApp number. The fees is rupees 1600. We have a 20% off. So the fees is rupees 1280 for your study material for paper 2 for the given subjects. Okay. Yes, that's all for the day. Tomorrow we'll be having the complete revision on the topic communication, including the models of communication. So tomorrow we will be seeing the topic based on what? We'll be seeing the topic based on communication. Yes, thank you everyone. Have a good day ahead.